Hey everybody, it is 2 in the morning because my sleep schedule is completely screwed over, and I think that it's finally time for me to reassemble the painted guitar that I did many months ago. The reason I haven't done it yet at this point is because I plan to, put it together and actually play it and write a song so I can show you guys that it's functional and that it works and kind of display some of my other passions, which happens to be playing guitar, writing music and stuff like that. And I've had this incredible block on my musical inspiration for a very long time. In fact, I haven't really done any serious music since I did my first album in 2017. But I feel that block kind of starting to lift. And I think the only way for me to continue lifting that block is to actually do some music stuff. So it's the perfect time for me to reassemble this guitar and get that inspiration going, because honestly this was a very sentimental guitar for me. However, the potentiometers that were in it weren't really functioning very well, so I decided to order some more. Perhaps I should have ordered more than I did. I got 4, but they're a 250K and a 500K pots. I probably should have gotten some B pots as well. The difference between a B pot and an A pot, I actually rambled about this quite a bit and I don't think I properly explained anything, so I created this little image to kind of make it a little easier to understand. For these two graphs, we're going to say that vertically is the amount of change or volume you hear from the potentiometer, and then horizontally is going to be the amount of rotation the knob on the potentiometer actually goes through. Linear taper pots are generally labeled with a B 250K, B 500K, or any other rating. The K usually signifies the amount of resistance the potentiometer is rated for, but that's not super important at the moment. Essentially with linear, as you rotate the knob on the potentiometer, you get a linear curve, meaning that if you turn it halfway, you get 50% of the output. And while this is seemingly perfect for the human ear, it's actually not. Our ears don't hear linear as linear. To us, it will often sound like a jump in the last or first 10% of the rotation. But when it comes to audio taper pots, these are generally labeled with an A, and it's got sort of a gradual curve, which to our human ears actually sounds linear, even though it technically isn't. So as you move along the rotation, you're actually getting less output via the rotation with an audio taper pot, but it actually sounds a lot more like what you'd think a linear one would sound like. Anyways, that's my understanding of it. I may have missed a few points I should have mentioned. That's pretty much the logic behind it. So nerd time is over, back to the video. Anyways, I'm going to check out the potentiometers, make sure they physically feel good before I, actually put them into the instrument. I have ordered parts from Music Lily before, but I like to test to make sure things feel okay. If they don't feel good, then they're probably not very good. And then I actually have to start putting all the pieces back together. So let's get to that. So I cracked the bags open. It contained all the washers and nuts I'd need for the potentiometers, but nicely it also came with a guitar pick per bag, which I actually appreciate, because considering how often I lose my guitar picks and can't find any of them, having some very basic guitar picks to put away somewhere else is really nice, just in case I can't find any of the ones that I actually like to play with. For anyone that doesn't play guitar, having a guitar pick disappear actually makes playing guitar really difficult, even if you have other ones to play with, because you get so used to the way a certain one feels that when you switch to another pick, it's like you have to learn your picking styles all over again. Before I could actually assemble this guitar, I needed to make sure the holes for the bridge and saddle posts, the pickup cavities, and the neck pocket were clear of any excess spilled over paint from the painting process, which there happened to be a lot of. And generally for the post holes, I would use a drill bit that was the correct size and just run it through there again, basically drilling the holes out again. But I did not have the properly sized drill bit, so I did a very risky and somewhat dangerous thing, which I have decided to not include in this video because I do not want anybody copying what I did or recreating that scenario, because you could not only hurt yourself if done wrong, but you could also destroy the guitar and have a lot of repair work to do. It happened to work out completely fine for me because I've done a lot of janky things in my life, so I have a lot of practice, and I'm basically a professional jankster at this point. But again, I didn't want anyone to recreate what I did, so I decided not to do it. So in the future, use a properly sized drill bit for the post holes, and very carefully use a paint scraper or a chisel to remove stuff from the neck pocket and the pickup cavity. No guitars were harmed in the making of this video. And to begin the actual assembly, I wanted to start with the threaded inserts for the bridge and saddle posts, and usually I would put these in with a rubber mallet, but I couldn't seem to find my rubber or wooden mallet today, so I decided that a really thick, soft piece of cardstock and a very small, normal hammer would probably get the job done just fine with light taps, taking it a little bit at a time, which ended up working perfectly fine, so it's no big deal. I also added a little bit of glue to the bridge posts because that's where all the tension's actually going to be tugging at, so I wanted to give it its best chance of not pulling out. And while the holes were nice and tight for those posts, I still wanted to make sure there was just a little extra grab because I'm a paranoid person. But I ended up forgetting to put the bridge ground back in through the hole, so I ended up having to pull that one out, which means the chip that I had to fix from pulling the posts out to begin with ended up pulling out again. But it looks fine. It didn't actually rip off, but there's a fairly obvious bit of damage around that post hole now. But all is well. It's fine. Then I inserted the first strap button, which actually had a very long screw, so it actually took a lot longer than I thought to screw in. So I decided not to put the second one in just yet, because it has an even longer screw for some reason. The next step was to put the tuning machines into the headstock. Now, if you're wondering about the damage on the headstock, that's actually a result of this guitar being stolen many years ago. Somebody stole this guitar, took the original tuning machines, the original pickups, and some other little things from this guitar, and the guitar itself got beat up pretty bad when it was stolen. So when I got it back, it didn't play anymore. It was missing a lot of parts, and it just didn't look as nice as it did when I first got it. Which is partly why I've been modifying it the way that I have been, because I want to make it look nice and custom. Since it's going to have to go through a bunch of repairs and refinishes anyway, I might as well customize it like crazy. And to make this easier on myself, I wanted to plan out exactly how I was going to solder everything up. And I could have gone online and found a standard Les Paul wiring diagram, but I really wanted to see if I remembered how to do this without the help of the internet. And I did have to re-plan things out a second time, but I didn't have to go to the internet for help. So it's very clear that I've actually learned something over the last many years of playing and maintaining guitars. Alright, I'm not sure entirely what's recorded so far, because my camera was apparently not recording. Oh, I maxed out the 10-minute point, which kind of sucks. Okay. I'm not sure where the camera finished off, but I managed to label all these leads and push them through the body. You may have already seen that. If you did, I'm sorry for repeating myself. But, yeah, so I need to make a little jig to make sure that these are in fact the bridge live and or positive and negative, and make sure these are the neck positive and negative. I know for a fact this is the master output from the three-way switch, which is actually over here. And then these are the inputs that go to the inputs of the three-way switch. So essentially, these will be attached to the output of the potentiometer twins, I guess. And yeah, it's all very complicated. And all of that complicatedness is more complicated when you look at this. I understand this. You might not, but that's completely understandable because this is crazy nonsense from a madman. All right, it's time for the really huge, scary part. And that is to actually plug this guitar in and test to see if the pickups work. I decided not to create a jig to test everything because I'm going to have faith in myself, because I've done this a great many times. In fact, I've rewired this guitar a couple times and it's almost worked, other than the last one, which is where I used the wrong type of potentiometer. Plugging in the cable, turning on the amplifier. In fact, I'm going to make sure this is actually audible. I'm assuming you can hear that. Oh no, that means there's a positive touching the ground somewhere. At least I know that my bridge ground is attached properly. Okay, so that's tone. Oh, that's strange. This one's grounded properly. These ones are attached to live. Oh, this is going to be confusing, isn't it? Oh, baby. So as it turns out, my wiring was perfectly fine. However, the input on the volume pot that the neck pickup is attached to seems to be broken. It's not making proper contact with the trace that goes into the potentiometer where all the magic happens. So what I did was I pinched that soldering point and I gave it a little twist, and now it's deformed, but it's making proper contact. I will replace these potentiometers with far better ones in the future, but for now it's working fine. It sounds great, and I created a short little musical demonstration of this guitar with MT Power Drum Kit 2 and my bass guitar, which is a GSR 200. Anyways, please enjoy, and I'll see you guys after the music. You guys see me? I know I'm on the tablet screen. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm really glad that I got to get my guitar playing again and got to debut my musical interests on this channel using said guitar. In fact, I have another guitar over there, which I plan on showing you guys in another video in the future. But for now, I hope you enjoyed the sample song. I'm going to write out a full song either to upload on this channel or over on my music channel, which hasn't quite started yet. Regardless, you guys are incredible. Again, thank you so much for watching. Reach for the stars, because there are no limits here. Anyways, I'm going to hop off this tablet screen now because it's a little cramped in here. I'll see you around.